What up guys, welcome back to my channel, and I have something exciting for you. I've been telling you I'm going to film this for such a long time and I haven't had time to do it, but now I finally have a couple hours where I can sit down and film my first frequently asked questions and answers video for you guys. This is going to be a series. I'm going to do multiple of these videos just because I have so many questions and I want to break them down so I can go into more detail and depth, but keep the videos relatively short for you guys since I can ramble. We all know this. If you watch my vlogs, you know that they can be anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes long. And I'm trying to work on that, I promise. So basically what I'm going to do in these videos are answer your guys' questions. I reached out to you guys on Instagram about a month ago and asked you guys to drop some comments on my picture of questions that you have for me that I could answer in these types of videos. So this is the first one, episode 1 of my new series. Insert title here. I don't have a title for it. I apologize. I know it's unprofessional, whatever, but you guys know me if you watch my videos, and I'm just your normal everyday average Joe Safina. I'm not that creative, in other words. So I guess why don't we just go ahead and jump right into it and answer that one question that you guys all seem to ask. Those of you who are new to my channel, you might be wondering, what is intermittent alternate day fasting? Those of you who've been following me for a while, by this time probably kind of get the gist of what this is. It's something that kind of went mainstream maybe a year ago? I'm not really sure. I've been doing this for over 2 years now, before it got really big. And my biggest inspiration was Samaya Kazi. She's an article she published called How I Dropped 50 Pounds in 6 Months. And it was super inspiring for me, especially at a time in my life when I felt like I was at an all-time low and I needed help. I was depressed. I felt like the world was ending. I was tired of the way that I looked and the way that I felt. And I needed something to change who I was and what I looked like. It's not necessarily that I was doing this for anybody else, but I was doing this for me because I felt helpless and hopeless, and I found intermittent fasting and it has worked for me and helped me drop 108 pounds in about a year and 2 months, which is phenomenal, honestly. I've kept that weight off so far. I've gained lots of muscle during this process because I've started being able to be more physically active without getting tired and feeling like I was gonna die whenever I walked up a flight of stairs. So in other words, enough with the rambling. Question number 1, what is intermittent alternate day fasting? Intermittent fasting is an eating pattern where you cycle between time periods of eating and fasting. It doesn't necessarily say what you can eat, but when you should eat. So basically what I do, or what I did in the beginning, more that I should say, is intermittent alternate day fasting, meaning that I would eat from 8:30 in the morning to 8:30 at night, and then until 8:30 that evening, I would skip the entire next day and then pick up eating at 8:30 the day after that, if that makes sense. So for instance, if I stopped eating at 8:30 on Monday night, I would skip all day Tuesday and start eating again on Wednesday morning. With this method, I was fasting from anywhere from 36 to 40 hours. So you might be questioning, how did you fast for 40 hours? A lot of the times, I would break my fast at 9:30 in the morning. Relatively good breakfast time. I would eat dinner whenever I was living alone at about 5:30. So I would stop eating about 6 o'clock, and from 6 o'clock I would skip the entire next day and go until 9:30 the following day. For instance, I would stop eating at 6:30 or 6 on Monday, skip all of Tuesday, and pick up and eat again at 9:30 on Wednesday. So that's how I was fasting in the beginning. And that is how I came across my intermittent alternate day fasting lifestyle. That's changed since then. Whenever I moved in with my then boyfriend, now my fiance, we would stop eating about 7:30 at night, 8:30 at night. So that's whenever I changed my fasting schedule from 7:30 in the evening, skip the entire next day, and then I would eat at about 10:30 or 10 the following day. It shortened my fasting period just a little bit, but I was still getting in that 36 to 38 hours, which became kind of my average hours. So that is what intermittent alternate day fasting is. I would skip an entire day of eating and not eat for 38 hours. Now that I've been doing this for so long, however, I've kind of changed up my method. There's lots of different ways that you can do intermittent fasting. There's 16-8, there's 24 fast, there's 4-3 fasting, which means that you eat for 4 days, you fast for 3. There's 5-2 fasting, where you eat for 5 days and you fast for 2. And technically what I'm doing right now is considered 4-3 fasting, but I still alternate day fast during the week. My schedule right now consists of me eating on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and I fast on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This is what works for me as of right now because I'm also very, very active. I exercise almost every day. This schedule works better for me now than it did in the beginning. So obviously my lifestyle has changed a lot over the past 2 years. So in a roundabout way, that sums up what intermittent alternate day fasting is for me. And that's what I had been doing and have been doing for the past 2.5 years of my life. The next question I get is, whenever you first started intermittent fasting, did you eat 500 calories on your fasting days? A lot of people do this whenever they start out intermittent fasting. In the first week that I started, I was eating in between my total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE, and my BMR, or basal metabolic rate. You'll hear me use that a lot in these next videos. Your TDEE is basically the amount of calories that you burn per day, and your BMR is the amount of calories you burn by resting. I liked to, and still do like to do this, put my total daily calories in between those two numbers. You can find these numbers basically anywhere online, but my favorite place to find is tdeecalculator.net. I've been using this website since the beginning. It's super easy. You just type in everything that you are, like height, weight, if you're sedentary, if you're lightly active, moderately active, or very active. And when I first started out, I was very sedentary. I worked at a sit-down desk job for 10 hours a day, and I didn't really get up very often during the day. So balancing my numbers between those really helped me drop weight in the beginning, or so I believe. I was eating between my TDEE and my BMR on my eat days, and then on the next day, for my fasting day, I was allowing myself up to 500 calories per day. Now this was just the first week that I started intermittent fasting. After that, the second week, I was able to go a full 40 hours without food. It literally took my body 1 week to adjust to this new lifestyle change, which was absolutely phenomenal to me. I started this weight loss journey on September 5th, 2017. And October 5th, when I weighed myself for the first month, I had lost 16 pounds just by counting my calories and eating every other day. I hadn't changed up my exercise routine or anything like that, but just within that first month, I had lost a significant amount of weight, more than I had ever intentionally tried to lose before, which blew my freaking mind. So yes, during that first week, I did do the 500 calories on my fasting days. Over the next year, within my first year, there were some days that I did allow myself up to 500 calories if I felt like I had to have something and I could not get the nagging hunger to go away. I had to allow myself to listen to the signs of my body, which is something that I've always struggled with, and sometimes I still do struggle with today, just because I'm very stubborn and I don't want to feel like a failure or give up on what I'm doing. So it's okay for you to eat up to 500 calories a day. As I have learned through this whole process, as long as you're in a 3,500 calorie deficit per week, so whatever that number would be for you per week, you should lose at least 1 pound of fat. I lost 16 within that first month. I feel like that was pretty successful. After that, eating 500 calories on a fasting day if needed, it didn't really affect anything differently about my fasting, and it took me a long time to realize that. Like I said, me listening to the signs of my body is something that I've always really struggled with, and I still struggle with today, but I'm getting better. And now we have a visitor, but you can see his sweet little face. Hello, Bowser. The next question I get asked quite frequently is, how much did you lose per week? To be honest, I did not weigh myself per week. I personally could not weigh myself per week. You might ask why or wonder why. For my mentality, I knew that if I were to weigh myself per week and see the fluctuations, that it would really cut down on my morale. I didn't want to know how much I was losing. I just wanted to go with the flow and see what would happen at the end of the month. So on every monthly anniversary of the day that I started intermittent fasting, I would weigh myself. Like I told you guys, within the first month, I lost 16 pounds. The month after that, I only lost 9. But the month after that, I lost 12. And then it was 8. And it fluctuated so often that I can't tell you guys how much I lost per week. But within my first year of intermittent fasting, I lost 98 pounds. That's an average of about 8 pounds per month, or 1.5 to 2 pounds per week, if that's the math that you really want to know. However, I know that it is different for everybody, and not everybody loses that amount. Everybody's different. It's really hard for you to tell somebody, oh, if you start this, you're going to lose, 1 to 2 pounds per week. There are some people that don't really lose anything, and then all of a sudden the weight drops, or they'll lose a whole bunch within the first week, and then the next week they won't lose anything. It's different for everybody. For me, it worked out well to weigh myself 1 time per month and not focus so much on the number on the scale, which, like I said, would have really messed with my mentality. I get asked a lot if I plateaued. There was 1 month that I didn't lose anything when I stepped on the scale, and it was detrimental to me. I was heartbroken. I didn't know what I did wrong. I thought that I was messing up. I screwed up. I'd failed for that month. I had to evaluate what my life was like at that time. I hadn't lost anything in the month of June 2018. During that month though, we had parties every single weekend where I was eating both Saturday and Sunday on my weekend. I had my birthday, we had my cousin's party, we had so many things happening, and I was overindulging and eating a lot. I had to take a step back and evaluate what my life was looking like at that point. I cut out certain things that I was consuming, and the next month I lost 12 pounds. So I made up for that 0-pound weight loss in the month of July. And it was because I didn't give up. The old Rachel would have seen that I hadn't lost anything and had given up completely on intermittent fasting. But this new me was determined, and has been determined since she started, to lose the weight. And after cutting out those certain things, I made up for it in that next month. And because of that, I hit 98 pounds of fat lost in my first year of intermittent fasting. Now remember, I told you guys that I had a sedentary lifestyle whenever I started this out. I had to change that with intermittent fasting. After 7 months, I had lost 62 pounds of fat. After I lost that much weight, I knew it was time to start getting more physically active. So I picked up running on the treadmill. I downloaded the C25K app and started running at my gym in my apartment building. It was excruciatingly slow for me to get started on this though, because I have never been physically active. I was the clumsy girl in gym class. I was the one that tried to avoid basketball, volleyball, running, the mile. Oh my God, it took me 18 minutes to walk a mile. Like, I could not exercise whenever I was in high school. It was embarrassing to me to do so. But after I had lost that much weight, I decided that it was time to move forward from just changing up what and when I was eating to putting some physical activity into my life. So I picked out that app and I started running. I really think that picking up that physical activity and putting it into my routine helped me lose that 98 pounds within the first year of intermittent fasting. And now my exercise routine is completely different. When I first started the C25K app, I could hardly run the 2 minutes that it started you out with. It was extremely hard for me. It was extremely embarrassing for me, to be completely honest. But I stuck with it, and it took me a long time to be able to move on to the next week and the next week and the next week. But slowly and surely I was getting better and able to run longer, and I was feeling stronger and better about myself every time that I was able to push farther and run longer. And I remember the first time that I was able to run for 20 minutes straight on the treadmill without stopping, and I cried tears of joy because it's something that I never had experienced before, and I was so happy and so excited. And at this point, I had lost probably 80 pounds, and I was starting to feel so empowered, and like I finally had control of my life, and I was going somewhere and I was achieving something. And from then on, I decided that I was never going to stop being physically active again because I loved it. It was a new hobby of mine. It was something that I have and will more than likely be passionate about for the rest of my life. I wanted to add more to it though, and my boyfriend, now my fiance, was huge in his weightlifting. So I asked him for help on that. I started lifting weights in November 2018. Very small amounts because I had no idea what I was doing. But I unfortunately injured something in my chest, and I wasn't able to do anything for like a month and a half. So I was just getting started and hurt myself. I was having issues even running on the treadmill because of this certain injury that I had, and it was awful. I hated it. I hated not being able to do anything because I started to feel like I was gonna lose progress and I was going to start gaining weight back, and it was freaking me out, to say the least. But whenever I was able to start up again, I haven't stopped lifting since then. There was a time there that I stopped running. Ian made me an ABCD workout plan where I had certain exercises that I would do per day. And because of this plan, I really stopped doing a lot of cardio. It wasn't until about 4 months after I was doing this plan that I started feeling more comfortable coming up with my own workouts and trying different things and new things. And about 6 months after I had stopped running, I decided it was time for me to pick it back up again to get some more cardio into my routine. So that is basically what I do now. My workout schedule now consists of me lifting weights on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and I run on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So I have kind of a balance of weightlifting and cardio. Now, of course, every once in a while, I won't be able to work out during the week, so I change up the day off on my weekend to that day or whatever. For instance, today, I screwed up something in my back and I'm not gonna be able to work out, which kind of kills me because we just came back from a cruise, long story short. But I can't work out today, and I'm trying not to let that get to me because I want to do some exercises so bad. But I'm trying, like I said earlier, to listen to the signs of my body, and that's something that I have learned to do with intermittent fasting. So in other words, when I first started intermittent fasting, for 7 months, I did nothing. I was not physically active. I was sedentary. I started doing a little bit of walking, but besides that, I just did the intermittent fasting. After 7 months, I started running. Almost a year into it, I started weightlifting, and then from there, it's been weightlifting and running. And that is really how my life has changed from the beginning of this whole process. All right, one more for you guys, since I know you're probably tired of me talking your socks off. But it is that time of year when it's the holidays, which is the most wonderful time of the year, but also the hardest time of year for intermittent fasting. I don't really remember too much about the first year that I was doing this, if I'm really honest. I'm pretty sure though, both Christmas and Thanksgiving were on fasting days for me, which completely sucked because I didn't want to eat on those days. I was trying to do better and be better. I was trying to stick to intermittent fasting and I didn't want to eat on those days. Let me tell you something, guys. Eating one fasting day out of your routine is not going to hurt you. Would you rather miss the opportunity of being with your family, eating delicious food with your family, or not eating because you want to lose a little bit of weight? You have your whole lifetime ahead of you to lose weight. One day is not going to kill you. I have to tell myself this constantly, especially this week because it's been Thanksgiving. I just got back from a vacation. Social events with your family, vacations where you're going to new exotic places. If you decide to eat on your fasting days, there is nothing wrong with that and there's nothing wrong with you. Pick it back up when you get back. Those few extra days are not going to harm you. Christmas isn't going to harm you. Thanksgiving's not going to harm you. Eat the rolls, eat the stuffing. It doesn't matter. You enjoy yourself. Enjoy the holidays and enjoy your family. This whole process is about balance. You have to find that within this. If you don't, the odds of you breaking and binge eating are a lot higher than if you just enjoy the one day out of the year, or the 2 days out of the year, or the week you have in Nassau and Freeport in the Bahamas. Would you really want to miss out on that opportunity just to lose a couple pounds? I know I didn't, and I ate on those days, and I'm glad I did because I had an amazing time with my family. I had an amazing Thanksgiving with my family and friends, and I'll tell you what, tacos are pretty delicious. So who can pass up on tacos? In other words, guys, enjoy yourself. Enjoy the process. Trust in the process. One day won't hurt you. I promise you'll get back on track. As many times as I've had to break for holidays, social events, vacations over the past 2.5 years, I'm still down as much as I have and I'm still making progress. Balance is the key. And that's all I have to say about that. So that concludes episode 1 of this questions and answers video. Please keep the questions rolling in on my Instagram page. Send them to my DMs. I promise I'll get to them eventually. It's just finding the time to answer them with a full-time job and life. But I will get to them. I do promise you that. And I will make another one of these videos shortly. And we'll call it episode 2 of Rachel's questions and answers, or whatever fancy title I'll put here. Thank you so much, guys, for stopping by and watching. I super duper appreciate it, and I will catch you guys on the next one.